Morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday, September 6th. It's exactly 1 week before the primary when you'll decide who's going to be your Republican candidate to represent you in the 112th Assembly District. I'm here to ask for your vote, obviously, and I also want to tell you a little bit about where I stand on some of the most important issues that'll be facing our state and our Assembly members if I get elected this November. Now, it's a little bit cool to be doing a fireside chat, so I thought instead we'd do a farmside chat, take advantage of some of the beautiful scenery we have around us here in the 112th District. Ethics reform, as I see it, is the #1 most important issue that we're going to have to deal with next year in the New York State Assembly. We've seen too many of our leaders end up convicted of felonies and going to jail or getting ready to go to jail with Shelley Silver and Dean Skelos. But it is time that we do some things in the Assembly that will put an end to the cronyism and corruption that's been a real problem in our state. There are some specific proposals I have that I would support, which I think would go a long way to turning around the culture in Albany away from this culture of corruption. First of all, term limits. I specifically would advocate for term limits for our elected leaders. The Assembly Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader, I believe, should be limited to no more than 6 years in their terms as leaders. This would be a great way to be rotating new leadership, getting new people into leadership, and not allowing people to get so much power that they begin to abuse that power, as we've seen time and time again here in New York State, in our capital. Secondly, term limits for legislators overall. I do think it's a good idea. I think it's time that we put an end to the lifelong career politicians. There are a handful of good ones that we've seen over the years, including right here in our district, but I think it's time that we take a look at real term limits. I believe 12 years would be a good number for a term limit, and personally, just so you know, I would term limit myself. If you elect me, and if you choose to elect me every 2 years, I would term limit myself to 10 years. I'll be 55 when I take the oath. I would be 65 when I retire. That's my promise to you. That would allow enough time for me to actually accomplish something, because I do have a goal to help to turn New York State around. This big ship of state that we have needs to be changed. We have too many problems in our state, and they're not going to be solved in the next 2 years, but I believe in the next 10 years we can begin to turn the corner and see some real changes and begin implementing family-friendly and business-friendly policies that will help to bring good jobs back to upstate New York. But on the ethics reform end of things, I do say we need term limits. We also can do other things. As far as the Spirit of 76 bill is a bill which actually Jim Tedisco had co-sponsored, which I think would go a long way towards empowering the rank and file in the Assembly. What the Spirit of 76 bill says is that if half of the Assembly members co-sponsor a bill, that it would automatically have to come to the floor for a vote. This would again empower the grassroots within the Assembly to come up with good, common sense, bipartisan legislation, and for it to automatically come to a vote and not be able to be quashed by the leadership that may not support it. So that's a bill that I think would be very important to pass. I also think we should be continuing to do things to enhance the visibility of bills and transparency within the Assembly and the State Senate on bills, that they should be posted online for 48 hours minimum before they're voted on. And I think we need to do away with this message of necessity that has been abused, quite frankly. It was abused at the end of this term on ethics reform package that the governor ended up sitting on for 67 days before he signed it. If it was such a necessity to get it passed in the dead of night, why did the governor wait 67 days to pass it? And also the New York State SAFE Act. It was a total egregious abuse of power and an egregious abuse of the message of necessity. These are a few of the things that I think that we can do to begin to enact real meaningful ethics reform in the New York State Legislature. And these are the things that I would support. So I'm asking for your support on September 13th, a week from today, to vote for me in the Republican primary. Thank you very much for listening, and I appreciate your time. We'll be back here again tomorrow to talk about another important issue. Thank you.